I have never been more excited for the future of Dead by Daylight as of now. As someone who's been playing Dead by Daylight since 2017, FNAF has been my most requested chapter, with the exception of a certain slasher, very easily. And in this video, I wanted to discuss why FNAF will change Dead by Daylight forever and why it's such a huge deal. Before we get into this, guys, leave a like on today's video and subscribe as well if you're new to the channel. So anyways, let's talk about the first point, which is the game's health. Let's be real, Dead by Daylight has always kind of felt like it was being held up together barely. Whether it's bouncing issues, quality of life features, or just general jankiness, there's always been like something holding the game back. But things are finally changing. Behavior has officially locked in and has introduced a major game health update. Not just fixing bugs, but also revitalizing outdated systems like the archives. They've replaced the archives with, a brand new quest system, which we just saw in the latest PTB. As well in the PTB, we saw some more changes that go for standardization. Think about games such as like Fortnite. They also changed the color coding of the offerings. This one's a little bit more divisive within the community, but I personally like the change from yellow to blue. There's also a new feature that's going to be coming very soon that I am very excited for, and that is the content creator codes. Just like Fortnite, there's going to be codes that DBD offers that you can use. So pretty much anytime you buy a skin or excels, part of that money would go to your favorite content creators. I think the content creator code thing is going to be really huge personally. I think it's actually a really genius way to give back to content creators and to the community as well. But I feel like everyone has already talked about the game health stuff for quite a bit. I think we all kind of generally understood that once FNAF would come into Dead by Daylight, behavior would go back and fix a lot of the issues the game had. So let's go into some new territory, some new stuff. The second reason why I think this is going to be a huge deal for Dead by Daylight is that this is going to be the biggest event DBD will host possibly ever. Dead by Daylight has had a few moments that were kind of like this, and this is sort of like another era-defining moment for Dead by Daylight. In 2016, we had the Halloween chapter, which is when we got our first license in Dead by Daylight. In 2019, Stranger Things went into the game, and that introduced so many new people to the game. And similarly, in 2021, Resident Evil was added to the game. Resident Evil so far has marked the largest player spike in DBD's history yet. When Resident Evil was added, the player count for Dead by Daylight on Steam was over 105,000 players. And now I think FNAF is going to be the one to overtake that. And it's fairly obvious that a lot of people really want Five Nights at Freddy's and Dead by Daylight because it's easily the most liked tweet that Behavior has ever made. When they announced it, it had over 100,000 retweets and almost 300,000 likes. This easily dwarfs almost every other post they've had with the exception of one, and that's a Duolingo joke. And this is going to be such a big event, it's not just going to be a live stream like the DBD events have usually been. They're actually going to be announcing it at Pax East 2025, which is something I don't think they've done since the release of The Clown. So a third thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is that this is actually going to be groundbreaking for the speculation community for Dead by Daylight. FNAF has literally been the most requested chapter for the longest time, even in the early days of DBD. The only character that I think has come close is possibly Jason Voorhees. But, due to legal issues, the hope of Jason coming to the realm has kind of faded over the years. I mean, we've been wanting Jason in Dead by Daylight since 2016, pretty much, and it's now 2025, and he's pretty much in the same exact situation. It's a little better, but it's still kind of a messy situation. Anyways, every chapter that has been teased has had some speculation on whether or not it will be Springtrap or not. I remember back when we were looking at teasers and we were like speculating that a rock was Springtrap. If you weren't on DBD Twitter during then, that was a crazy time. So even though we're not completely sure if this killer is in fact Springtrap, it's very likely so. So once this chapter is released, where do we go from here? Where is the speculation gonna go? The speculation community for DBD's hierarchy is about to change forever with FNAF no longer on the table. I think perhaps over time there could be speculation about a second FNAF chapter, and I think that would do really well. Of course, I don't think it would do as well as the first FNAF chapter because it's such a huge event seeing it for the first time. Nonetheless, I still think there will be speculation about a second chapter. But aside from that, the community is going to move on to other big licenses coming into the game. I could see anime chapters definitely becoming the next big talk of the community. Also, something I thought about is that because a lot of new players are going to come into Dead by Daylight, the taste for what chapters people want might change as well. I mean, when you think about it, the FNAF community has a lot of people who like mascot horror, and even though I'm not personally advocating for it, I could see how like FNAF fans would want chapters like Bendy and the Ink Machine, for example, coming into the game, which is something that typically the Dead by Daylight community has never really given serious thought of. Again, I don't really want Ben being Dead by Daylight. I just thought that was kind of an interesting point to bring up. I feel like every time something new happens in the DBD community, we kind of open our ideas to new licenses. For anyone who started playing DBD after the year 2020, there was a point in time where we thought that there would be no non-humanoid characters in Dead by Daylight. There's also a time when we thought that no video game killers would come into the game. The realm of possibilities for what can come in the Dead by Daylight, or what people want to come in the Dead by Daylight, has changed so much over the years. Back when I started playing Dead by Daylight back in 2017, the game was essentially a slasher game, so most speculation was primarily revolved around slasher movies from like the 80s. Of course, there were still requests for characters like Springtrap, Pyramid Head at the time, but it was primarily slasher villains. I will say, I think after Five Nights at Freddy's, the biggest talk though is either going to be Death Note or Jurassic Park. Those are the two chapters I hear about the most. I think Jurassic Park would be kind of cool. I think it would be a little shocking, but I still think it would be cool nonetheless. But aside from all that, this is not just going to be a huge moment for Dead by Daylight, it's also going to be a monumental moment for the entire FNAF community. For FNAF fans, this collaboration is groundbreaking just as much as it is for the Dead by Daylight community. This is the first official rated M experience for Five Nights at Freddy's. The Five Nights at Freddy's series, for the most part, has implied violence or off-screen deaths, aside from the books. This is going to be the first time we actually see, like, Springtrap kill someone. We're gonna see him kill a survivor on screen, and that's a first. I know a lot of FNAF fans have been requesting more adult-oriented content from FNAF. I know a lot of people were disappointed when the FNAF movie was rated PG instead of R. So I would say that this is a pretty good way to satisfy those in the FNAF fandom who want to see like more of that kind of stuff. This is also going to be the first major collaboration the FNAF series has done. FNAF has had some collaborations with video games before, but nothing to the scale of Dead by Daylight. There were some minor Easter eggs in some video games, and they were also included in the Funko Fusion game, but like I said, nothing as big as Dead by Daylight. With that note, the final point I have about this is that there's rumors going around right now that the chapter is going to be canon to FNAF as well, that it's going to get a tome and it's going to be canon to the FNAF series. For those that aren't super into Five Nights at Freddy's, the lore is practically what makes the series, so this is a huge deal if whatever in DBD is canon to the series. Having canon lore tied to the FNAF series would be a huge step, I believe, for both behavior and in FNAF, in ways that we would just have to wait and see, because honestly, if it's true, it can go in a million different directions, and I can't even, like, guess what that would be. Granted, these are just, like, speculations and rumors, so nothing official, but it's a fun concept to think about nonetheless. But that's really all she wrote. That's all I have for you guys. Let me know in the comments section down below what you guys think. How big do you guys think this chapter is going to be? Do you guys think that everyone talking about it is overhyping it? Do you guys think it's going to be as big as everyone's saying it's going to be? Or do you guys think this is actually going to, like, be groundbreaking for Dead by Daylight? Because I believe it's going to genuinely change the scope of the game forever. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and peace.